Welcome back to our next episode of Uncivil Discourse, hosted by Lee,
Hey, everybody.
myself, and our guest commentator this year, Laura.
Hello.
We are into the final round of the playoffs coming up. It's really exciting. We have some amazing teams that have made it to the final pairing of each division. Looking forward to going into that later on about who's playing who and who we think is going to win, but it is really awesome that we have gotten to this point in Season 4 already.
I'm kind of excited because we get a 3-week break while we do trophies and get everything ready for awards day after this.
Breaks. You keep talking about these breaks. I never get a break.
That's because we don't pay you.
Yeah, because he'd get a break if he got paid.
I get work harder.
Let's take a look at our previous games that got us through the semifinals and is getting us to the point of where we're talking about today. A division games were played on Lunar Bullshit, a fairly wide open map with the aggro dome on one side. Game number 1, the Neutral Reavers take a bye and move on to the finals through the semis.
Game number 2, we have the Ghost Legions versus Scions of Amaris. Starting off strong, the Ghost Legion Charger goes down, taking a gauze round into the face. Ugh, not a good way to start. Swinging back, the Scion's Cataphract is the next to drop. The Gunslinger's not long for this world and is the next mech eliminated. We then see a double removal of both the Ghost, Quick Draw, and Scion's Hunchback. They're destroyed in the same turn. The last mech to drop is the Ghost Legion's Wolverine, finishing the match with a 4-2 Scion victory. Way to go, Jeff.
Good luck on the finals.
Moving into Division B, these teams got to enjoy the Devil's Bath Arena.
Game number 3, Hank's Handies versus Cat's Nightingale Cavalry. The Devil's Bath is a map of Alberta hoodoos. Poor line of sight, high points, and lots of blind alleys. Just the kind of map a brawler like Hank's Handies needs to counter the clan long-range advantage. The Handy Wolverine is the first to go down, but it's not the last. Almost immediately after, the Blood Asp and Elementals are both removed as casualties. In return, the Banshee falls next, but it's too little to stop the victory as the Gunslinger hunts down the Rifleman, and Hank's Handies have the ending they wanted, taking a 3-2 victory into the finals.
Game number 4, Riston's Rogues versus the Ice Creamers. Due to an illness, sweating through the ice cream shop, Riston's Rogues progresses to the finals. Seaside being the best side, we see a city fight in the business district host some fantastic fights tonight.
Game number 5, we have the Ansgar's Outlaws up against Steel Shod Shamble. A city fight is a good fight for this match. At least it is if you fight for the Inner Sphere. The Clanners had a bad day, only managing to take out the Steel Shod's Marauder 2. However, the heroes from St. Ives lay the smackdown, taking out all 4 Clanner units. 4-1 Steel Shod win. On to the next game.
Game number 6, Blitzkrieg Jezebels going up against Ward's Warwolves. They dance and prance, but the city seems to keep the forces separated for most of the day. The only unit to be removed from play is the Blitzkrieg Hatamoto, as the Direwolf gets a lucky headshot in round 3 with an ERPPC. 1-0, Ward's Warwolves move into the finals. D-side round has the enjoyable experience of the River Delta Arena.
Game number 7, the Wolfpack versus Clan Cobra Chicken. Clearly breaking that wishbone today, the Clan Cobra Chicken shows up with all the luck. From the Wolfpack Thunderbolt tripping in a puddle and flooding its engine, to both the Nightstar and Centurion losing their heads. The brave Phoenix Hawk tries to take on all the chickens, but the game ends 4-1 Clan Cobra Chicken win.
Game number 8, we have the Lyran Rangers up against Odin's Chosen. Another match where the terrain seems to impede the players, as this match also ends up in a 1-0 victory for the Lyran Rangers.
Well, that's a wrap for our games for last week. As we said earlier, playoffs being shorter, these get wrapped up pretty quick. It's easy to talk about. And today's interview has been brought to you by the letter N, as in not here. Please tune in to a special Battle Babes episode for something extra special this week.
This leads us into the finals!
Game number 1, the Lyran Rangers versus Clan Cobra Chicken for the D-Side Championship final game. Wearing the blue trunks and hailing from the lands of Avalon, the Rangers are representing with a Scorpion 12 as their medium mech, a custom champion with a heavy gauze rifle, I believe in a light engine, the Banshee 7S, and a Highlander 738.
The other guys, the Clan Cobra Chickens, hailing from the Free Worlds League. They're rocking and rolling with a Wraith TR1, a Clan Large Pulse Laser Tempest 3M, a Stalker 6M, and a custom Black Knight sporting 3 ER large lasers and 5 medium lasers linked into that special skill that reaches it out to clan ranges. We aren't just talking about the games, we're also going to talk about some of the mechs. On the Lyran Rangers side, I absolutely love his Banshee. It is modified with a pair of ERPPCs, a pair of Streak 6s, and then some medium lasers behind it. It's a great mech to kind of spearhead his lance into the forces and allows that champion and Highlander to be able to stand still.
I agree with you. I do like the Banshee. I don't think it needed alteration. The 7S straight out of the bat is probably solid.
On the Clan Cobra Chicken side, it's that custom Black Knight, the Faction Tech Black Knight. 3 ER large lasers, 38 heat sinks. The ability to fire all 3 at clan ranges and run and not worry about his heat. It's just an absolutely perfect mech. All energy. It's a zombie. Really solid. I would say probably the equal to the Banshee's long-range firepower, only with better range.
All right, yeah, your points are valid there. My own personal opinion, I think the Highlander for the Lyran Rangers is going to play the biggest factor for that lance. It's got mobility, it's got some firepower, and it traditionally has done really well if it doesn't have a dirt nap real early in the game. Either falling down and knocking itself unconscious, or just getting murdered, or taking some random crits. I think that can really be like his quarterback to just lead his lance into victory.
On that note, the one thing I disagree with you on the Highlander is it's got the lethargic skill. So as long as he walks or stands still, he gets a -1 to shoot. But the Highlander jumps, as well as to really get anywhere moving 3-5, it has to run. So the chances of it hitting if it has to move isn't great.
But once it gets there, it's set up to be the quarterback. And for Clan Cobra Chicken, I think their Tempest is kind of their linebacker, their star of the game. It's got that Clan Large Pulse tagged with a gauze rifle. It is the one that takes heads off for him. It's the one that will get lucky crits. And I think if Carlo pressures that mech, he may get ahead of the game. If he just sort of ignores it, it is going to be throwing 25 points consistently downrange and just being a bad day bear.
Yeah, the combo of gauze rifle and Clan Large Pulse Laser is a great pairing. It really gives you the opportunity to reach out and slap somebody, as well as the accuracy that you're doing at every turn, which makes sitting back feel better.
I haven't played Clan Cobra Chicken this year. Somehow he avoided me. But I did play against the Lyran Rangers. I didn't like his lance. I have to agree with Brett with the Highlander. It was not a fun one to go up against. And we had those Alberta Hoodoos in our game. Did not go well for me. I want Lyran Rangers to win. They both fought hard. I mean, for John to have made it this far with the standings he came out of regular season with is actually I was surprised. I honestly thought Alex was going to win the match. And he'd be in the finals. But Lyran Rangers for the win. 4-3.
My opinion on this match is Clan Cobra Chicken has it. He outmaneuvers the Rangers in every way possible. Right? The Wraith just dances around that Scorpion. The Tempest is more agile than the Champion. And both the Stalker and the Black Knight are equivalent for range and for mobility as the other two. I think that's going to cost the Rangers the game, simply because they're not going to be able to deal with the mobility and the accuracy of the Clan Cobra Chicken mechs. So it's going to be Clan Cobra Chicken, and it's going to be a 3-1.
All right, I am going to split the difference here and agree with both of you in a sense. Laura, I believe that the Lyran Rangers have worked hard for 2 seasons. I think this is their game. This is their season. They're going to pull out the victory. And Lee, I believe it is probably going to be a 3-1 victory, though. We'll see how the dice roll up. But good luck to both of these players.
Game number 2, we have Ward's Warwolves and Steelshod Shamble in the Seaside Finals. Coming out of the Crusader clan space, Ward's Warwolves show up with a point of elementals, the Huntsman Configuration A, a modified Marauder, and an altered Direwolf H, replacing the heavy large lasers with ERPPCs.
The St. Ives Steelshod Shamble is going opposite the clan tech. Zombie tech. With a Wolverine 7H with, I believe that one's also got a clan large pulse laser on it. A Penetrator 4D, a Devastator 1D modified for 4 PPCs, making it the world's largest awesome, and a Marauder 2 4A, which has also been modified for a bunch of light AC5s and an LB20. When we talk about this match, we look at what's coming onto the table. I believe what's going to make the biggest impact on the game for the Steelshod Shamble. The Devastator, with that failsafe, is throwing those 12-point shots downrange, killing elementals, or potentially taking heads off. It's not the 15-point hits that the Direwolf does, but they add up nonetheless, and you only need 12 to take a head.
They just paint dandelions on all the mechs. Pop go the heads.
On the other side of the table, the Direwolf. The Direwolf has been Todd's pride and joy. It is the one that carries his lance forward. It is the workhorse. It has 2 ear PPCs. It has 2 gauze rifles. It has lots of heat sinks. It is throwing 60 points downrange. It's going to hit with 2 to 3 every turn, most likely because of stats and the way math works. And he has a tendency to double up locations when he hits with that stuff, which can be devastating. It really is the mech to watch out for, in my opinion.
Yeah, all those guns tied to a targeting computer. If he had done that earlier in the season, I think he would have been better overall. For the Ward Wolves, the mech that I like going in here is that Marauder. A pair of large pulse lasers, a heavy large laser, a pair of heavy mediums, and gunnery. Right? So he can sidestep to get around things if he's needing it for extra mobility. But when you get a pair of clan large pulse lasers and the ability to just fire them turn after turn after turn with a gunnery, -3 at range, pretty much brings everything to close. That mech's going to be a real problem. It's also a zombie, so even taking a torso off isn't going to kill it. It's not even going to give it engine hits. I agree with you absolutely. That Devastator is going to probably be the Steelshod Shamble's most effective machine. It's not just because of failsafe. It's 4 PPCs every round. He can just hold the trigger down. So that's just vicious, ugly, and actually really quickly catches up with clan firepower because usually the clanners don't have armor.
Predictions. I told these guys in the interview I was going to have a very hard time picking which one is going to win. I actually think they're going to come out at the final bell with a pip count tie. We are going to have to look at their mech sheets to figure out who did more damage. 3-3. I think Steelshod is going to come out with more damage done, but we're going to have to count pips. Yep. Tie game, steal shot on a pip count win.
Well, these players have played earlier in the season, and I believe it was a 4-3 Steel Shod Shamble victory that time. I believe it is going to be repeated. It is going to be Steel Shod Shamble again this time. They know what they're doing. They've got a whole season behind them. They've got a lot of experience with everything, and the real hard desire to pull out a victory here. I think it is going to be a 3-3 tie with a crippled unit, making it a 4-3 final.
Oh, you guys are getting way too fancy. It's going to be a clear clan Wards Warwolves victory. I think that Direwolf would have probably put him into B quite easily if he had altered it earlier. I think it's going to be a 3-2, but it's going to be very clear who won that match. Moving on up to the B-side championship. Game number 3, we have the Riston's Rogues up against Hank's Handies. Also hailing from the St. Ives Confederacy, Riston's Rogues leads with the ever-popular Wraith TR1, Tried and 2 Grasshopper N, which was manufactured to be carrying a whole bunch of lasers and PPCs and ugliness, an awesome 8Q, and a custom Marauder 4A.
Hank's Handies starting the season off with one goal: to play a gunslinger. They built the lance around that and seem to have been pretty successful. A Wolverine 7K, a custom Banshee 3S, and a Thunderbolt 9SE round out his lance.
Well, breaking this down between the Riston's Rogues and Hank's Handies, I'd have to go with the Grasshopper for the Rogues as probably the best mech in his lance. It can fire everything and jump, has free hands for punching or laying down a kick, and it's a zombie. It's just brutally ugly. I definitely think it's the best mech in his entire lance. Hank's Handies, that Wolverine 7K, there's a reason why my Marauder made it its personal vendetta. Its weapons are really solid. A large pulse, medium pulse, small pulse, backed up by 2 SRM6s, and really accurate. I think it's probably the reason why I had to go after it with my personal vendetta. It was just going to be an up-close monster, and that could actually really help them out.
All right, my choices for this match. The awesome 8Q. It's just awesome. Enough said. On the flip side, we've got the Banshee. The Banshee 3S is a solid build just to begin with. This one's been customed up a little bit, so it's got those snub-nose PPCs on there, and it is his absolute workhorse. Plus, you guys would call bullshit on me if I just went with a Wolverine 7K, because you know I love the mech chassis, and it would just be a cop-out. So I'm going with the awesome.
That's why I went before you, to make you look like you were just copying me.
Yes, so my choices here today are the awesome and the Banshee.
Oh, which team to choose?
Because...
Honest to God, I actually think Hank's Handies has an actual real shot of winning. I don't know, Darren goes into every game with some sort of an idea, and I don't think Jeff's going to let him get too high of a score, though. I actually think it's going to be like a 3-2. Hank's Handies, 3-2.
I've been paying attention to Darren as much as I love to joke about how I'm not. And Hank's Handies have been a steady competitor all season. Nobody went into a game thinking they had it locked down, and it just about everybody walked out of the game feeling like they'd been in a really good fight. OG, him just relaxing is still a championship player. Right? He just went into the season to play, and he's still in the B championship. I don't think he knows how to mess up badly enough to lose and not be able to then come back the next game and do a 4-0. Riston's Rogues are going to take this. It's going to be a very, very close fight. It's going to be a 4-3.
I think it's going to be a casual game. I think they're going to play out, and they're going to come down to the end, and they're going to be like, okay, so this unit's dead, and that unit's dead. And I think this unit's crippled. Oh, yeah, well, your unit over there is crippled. And I think it's going to be 3-2 for Rissen's Robes.
Game number 4, and the last one for the playoffs. A-side finals. Neutral Reavers going up against the Scions of Amaris. The Neutral Reavers represent the Crusader clans and come equipped like all clanners with a point of elementals. His medium is a custom Dragonfly kitted out with all pulse lasers, a custom Orion, and the Tomahawk with 4 large pulse lasers and 2 Streak LRM-15s.
The Scions of Amaris are another St. Ives stable for those paying attention. 3 of the 4 made it into the finals this season. A custom Swayback, which is a Hunchback 4P for those unfamiliar with the term. A modified Cataphract 4X, a Templar with twin heavy PPCs, and a Yu-Hang 9G round out this lance.
So on the Clanner side, I think that Tomahawk is going to be, again, it's the oppressive mech of the unit. It's 4 large pulse, 2 Streak 15s. It's got combat wisdom because it lost its head in game 3 and has been hard to kill since. It will make the biggest impact of the game. I love the Orion, but I think it goes down too easy. And on the flip side of that, the Templar. The Scion's Templar with 2 15-pointers. And if it gets close, it's got something like 6 or 7 medium pulse lasers as well. So whether you're dealing with it with a little bit of range for 2 15-point punches taking heads off, or real close up with a whole bunch of accurate 6-pointers, it is definitely the guy to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, that Templar reminds me of both my Marauder 2 and my Banshee, with the heavy PPCs and the pulses all built into one mech. The Orion 2C for me, custom faction tech from the very beginning of the season. Pair of large pulse lasers, a Streak 15, a Gauss rifle, and an SRM-4 kicker. That mech is absolutely brutal to fight and has one weakness. That right torso is just a bomb waiting to go off, which is an Orion, really. It's got 2 engines, a Gauss rifle, and the SRM-4 and the Streak 15 ammo in it. And case. That it's gonna go boom, and you're gonna get 2 pilot hits. Any extra criticals are gonna hit potentially more ammo, or an engine. So it's not good at all. It's real rough.
9 explosive locations in a single slot.
Yep. So it's the weakness to the mech, but it's so powerful otherwise. It's throwing as much firepower. That Tomahawk has to hit with 5 of its 6 weapons to equal what the Orion 2C can do. It's really tough. That Cataphract of the Scions of Amaris is one of his biggest killers. It doesn't have the biggest loadout. I think it's ER large laser or an ER PPC.
ER PPC, 2 light AC, an LRM-5, and a pair of medium.
Yeah, and it just picks up kills. It's because it's got such a wide variety of firepower, as well as lots of shots coming out, so to get those criticals to finish things off. So I think the Cataphract is definitely going to be a hero. Same thing with the Orion 2C. The obvious ones are the Templar and the Tomahawk, but I think these other 2 are going to be more impactful.
All I have to say is I am really glad I didn't see either of these lances this year, because my mechs would have been paste on the map. I actually think Jeff has a chance. And since I have a very good habit of cheering for the slight underdogs of the matches, and not necessarily being wrong, I think Scions of Amaris are going to win. I think it's going to be a slaughter fest. It'll be 4-3.
I'm going to agree with Laura, and the fact that I'm going to be voting for the Scions of Amaris. I want to see them take home the victory here and be a 2-time champion. You know what? I even think the score is right. 4-3, Scions of Amaris.
JP is a 2-time league champion. 2 of them back in Bruce's league when we did objectives, and then he's looking for his first one in this form of the Calgary Battletech League. He's tactically one of the best in probably Alberta, and I think he's just got the right lance. Jeff with the Scions of Amaris, just came off. He's the defending A-side champion, and he's made it all the way back to this point, and very convincingly. They were so close in the standings as well, and his lance is just tough. I just don't know if that's going to be enough to take down a great player with almost a perfect lance. I am going with my original thing that I've been saying all season. It is going to be the Neutral Reavers, and I think it's going to be a little embarrassing. I think it's going to be a 4-2.
And not at all close.
But, oh no. No, yeah. Actually, no, I'm going to say 4-1.
Okay, that's embarrassing.
It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. In summary and closing, this is the end of the finals week coming up. Oh, going to be some exciting games out there.
But yes, I actually do have a couple things to mention. Number 1, get your votes in. There are still some outstanding people that need to vote for our 3 awards. And as soon as game day is done, voting is closed. So when this podcast is released, you have
Roughly 42 hours.
technically two full days to get them out.
It's what they're. When the game finals is over, voting is over.
Voting is over. Yep. Second thing, after game day, we have a 3-week break. Please be paying attention to Discord because Heather and I will be figuring out where we are going for dinner after the awards ceremony. And we may need other people's input and votes to choose a restaurant.
Especially if you have dietary needs, please let us know.
Yeah. Allergies or preferences or, oh my god, I just won't eat that.
Yeah, the big neon signs are all pointing at me right now. Because I have all 3 of those.
As the year is wrapping up, I do want to thank everybody who listens in for all of your support, as well as the league members who also listen in. It's great because I like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, as well as on league days. Have a fun evening, everybody, and see you on Sunday.
Dovetailing off of what Lee has to say, we really enjoy running this for the community. We love the people that are involved locally. We also really appreciate our subscribers and our viewers and everybody else that listens and supports us while not being directly involved. We're currently at 324 subscribers. When we hit 350 is when we're going to start looking at doing our next giveaway. So we're super close, people. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies. Share the wealth, share the knowledge, and see if we can't get another draw going out for prizes. Thank you, everybody. Love you, and have a wonderful evening.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell.